right, I'm going to get going. This is room 713, Muslims Going Green. I've been asked to introduce three speakers I've never met in my life before, and I'm not Muslim. Oh, yeah, I'm Kurt Bolton. I'm one of the co-chairs of the Wisconsin Green Party. When I think about religion, I often think the thought that, if God had wanted to, he could have made us all the same, but he made us different. And so I think diversity in religion is a good thing, and that's one thing Greens believe in as well, diversity. I will try and speak louder. Let me try again. When I think about religion, God could have made us all the same, but he didn't. Or she, well, God's non-binary, sorry. And yeah, if we were all the same, one religion would have been enough, but we're diverse, which is one of the principles of the Green Party. And so multiple religions, I think, is a good idea. So with that, I'm going to turn over to our three speakers, Butch, Wissam, and Safia.
Assalamu alaikum. Translation, peace be upon you and all of you. My name is Safia. I am the former chair of the Cook County Green Party, AKA Chicago. And me and Rita over there, we tag team to get this to happen in Chicago this year. So welcome. So, first lesson about Muslims. We ain't ever on time. Both in, brother, both in. So this panel, inshallah, God willing, will be an opportunity for us to have a frank discussion among ourselves. And if we have time, with the audience about the Muslim experience, in this political moment within the Green Party, and what kind of future are we headed towards? So I want to begin with kind of like a big picture personal narrative. What got y'all into the Green Party, and what has kept you in there for all of these years?
Well, I'm late arriving. I'm not going to be the first to speak. Go ahead. Yeah, this is a little. Maybe
Can we turn off that one?
Mic check.
Is that better? Okay, should we turn this off?
No, they're not. Yeah, mic check. Can you? No. It does have a no. There's yeah. In the interest of, first of all, assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings to everyone. Apologize for being a bit tardy, despite the fact that I taught at Northwestern University for years, lived in Chicago. I still managed to underestimate Chicago traffic. And I did learn after I converted to Islam at age 15 that it's actually not just Black people's time. We call it CP time for a reason, because it is Muslim time as well. And if you go to Muslim events, they never start on clock times. But apologize for taking up some of your time. I'll try to be brief in my response to this question. And I'll answer it in this way. The principal reason why I accepted Jill Stein's invitation to run as the vice presidential candidate for the Green Party in 2024 was because I understood that there was no path forward of any kind for Muslim Americans in either of the genocidal duopoly parties. That Team Blue genocide and Team Red fascism have no options for Muslims. And I feel vindicated in accepting that invitation and playing a role in the 2024 electoral cycle, and then again running as a gubernatorial candidate in the state of California through the primaries this past June. In that, in the 2024 presidential election, 53% of Muslim Americans voted Green. Yeah, and and I see the illustrious journalist Brianna Joy Gray nodding her head because she spoke about this on her podcast, that if the average American voter had the moral compass that the Muslim community had in 2024, then we would have the political leadership that we deserve. So I took it as a matter of faith and principle and a great opportunity, frankly, to live my values out loud and in public and to stand up against genocide, which is, I think, the very minimum that a person can do and continue to call themselves a human being, much less a believer. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Doctor. Hello, everyone. I feel like some of you are gonna get tired of me after seeing me in 2 workshops and now here. But I'm honored to be in this panel. To tell you the truth, I've told that story a couple days ago, or it seems like a couple days ago. It's yesterday, that when I first turned into the voting age, I was looking into my political options and celebrating that I have options to participate in the governing process. And I've looked at what are the options out there, and there aren't many options in the United States, but I found out the Green Party. And everyone around me did not know what I'm talking about. As you know, Dearborn, the city of Dearborn, where I come from, even in 2020 elections, only about 400 people voted for the Green Party. Of course, the whole story changed in 2024. We'll come to that. But I searched the different values of the parties, and I loved the Green Party's values, and I felt they are the closest to my values, which were Islamic values at that time. So I feel, and I don't want to speak on behalf of Islam, because Islam, is a very diverse religion in itself. But my understanding of Islam, I feel that the values of Islam meet the values of the Green Party. Islam doesn't reckon nationalism. Islam centralizes humanity. One of the most important verses in the Quran talks about the dignity of human beings. It prioritizes that. All that will sound green to you. Islam doesn't see borders. It sees human suffering. It sees human help. It sees humanity as one. Does not does not look at humanity in basis of race or in any other basis, but their pure humanity. There's a very famous saying by Ali ibn Abi Talib telling his companions that it is either humans are two. It's either your brother in religion or your brother in humanity. So in either way, they are your brother or sister. So I found it to match my values. So for me, I find it natural for a Muslim to be green, prioritizing humanity. Corporate, finance of campaigns is considered corruption in Islam. It is bribery. The war machine is totally anti-Islamic. Imperialism, colonialism, all these things that Islam fights, the Green Party fights. So I find it very natural that a Muslim would find matching values with the Green Party. I think we still have a long way to go in promoting and exposing the Green Party, and I think the last genocide that's still ongoing has expressed that contrast between the different parties and showed that, you know, I went and checked because I wasn't politically active. I went and checked the Green Party page after the genocide started, and the first picture, the first photo on the front page was a protest with Palestinian, you know, flags and kufiya. So I was very happy that the Green Party, among other organizations which claim to fight for human rights, who have abstained and they have waited before they made statements and before they stood up against what's going on, the Green Party right away, they stood up. So I was very proud of that, and I've, you know, became active politically because I felt actually even guilty for not being politically active before and being late and getting involved in the political process, that we have left it to two genocide parties, basically. Thank you.
For me, the reason why I got involved in the Green Party was I come out of the student activist movement at the University of Chicago, and we were organizing for a year. The DNC came to Chicago. Oh, can you hear me? Good. So the DNC came to Chicago back in 2024, and all the organizing we had built up, I thought it would culminate into something. It would culminate into something that would move the moral compass of the Democratic Party. And that's what everyone was banking on, right? Why are you snickering, sir? Excuse me. I lived it. All right, so as I was cast in this role, it was really disheartening. And the way that, you know, the coalition of organizations had kind of showed up was in like we were marching in a circle around Chicago, close to the DNC, but none of the delegates could even see us. So we were really just chanting at ourselves, preaching to the choir as we do. And a group of students and we were like, okay, this is useless. Let's go to the delegates and use one of the tactics that we've used during the encampments, which was to read the names of children who were martyred in Gaza. And for 2 days, we read the names and we couldn't finish. And some of you might have seen viral clips that went from the reactions from the delegates from that action. You had some who are like, blah, 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 and they were making fun of the names of the children that we were reading. And these were people of color. And when I saw that, I was like, this party, despite its diversity and inclusion, in spite of it, is morally bankrupt. And I asked myself, okay, my fight isn't over. What am I going to do next? And so I shifted over to the Green Party, and another struggle. Only because they were so morally aligned. I wasn't thinking about whether or not it's a viable party. I was like, this is where naturally the fight goes. And then a new struggle begun, but we will talk about more of that later. I wanted to ask you all, what in your faith as a Muslim grounds you in your politics? And Wissam, you went on a lot about that, so I'm going to skip you. Butch, you go ahead and answer that, and we'll move on.
I'll try to do the brief version of this. So I was not born into the religion of Islam. I converted to Islam at age 15. And I converted after a kind of life-changing experience. I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. I read Malcolm's autobiography from cover to cover in one night. And I went out the next day and checked out an English translation of the Quran from my public school library, because I wanted what Malcolm had when he got to the end of that book. Malcolm had a kind of victory over both his inner demons right? And he was very candid about not just what white supremacy had done to him and his family, but about what he himself had become. And I needed the same kind of healing that Malcolm had. So for me, what I saw in Islam was this weapon to overcome all of the inner torment that I had experienced as, like the child of a locksmith with a 6th grade education and a 15-year-old single mother and growing up in abject poverty. That I found a faith that was centered not just in conquering those inner demons, but in struggling against external oppressors. And it was that balance, that dual aspect, that the jihad against your own ego and against your short-sightedness and the smallness and the baseness that human beings can succumb to, that's only part of the struggle. The struggle also takes place out in the world and for justice. So for me, my faith has always animated my politics. They were literally born and inspired within me in a single night through the practical example of El-Hajj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X. And I've tried throughout my life in all of my various political activities, educational activities, community organizing, and everything else to embody the best of those two traditions, the Black liberation and radical tradition and the Islamic tradition, because for me, they were delivered in a single vessel, and I've done my best to thoroughly study and then try to embody those traditions and then to live them out loud and in public in a way that holds America accountable for what it has done to us. And to just pick up on one piece that you laid down, Safia, it was Malcolm, that, taught me at the age of 15 that I could never be a Democrat or a Republican, right? The Malcolm said, the liberal's a fox, it bares its teeth, you think it's smiling, you are on the menu. The conservative is a wolf. When it bares its teeth, it's into a vicious snarl that leaves the Black man no illusion as to where he stands. Malcolm believed that the Black community was caught between two predators that differ only in the modality of the hunt. One by cunning and by guile and by trying to pretend to be your friend, the Democrats, and the other by sheer, brute, and naked force, right? So for me, I've never been a Democrat or a Republican at any point, in my political, journey. I've always believed that Islam was a radical, emancipatory tradition, and I got a PhD in African history and Islamic history, and I taught Black revolutionary and Islamic revolutionary history for a couple of decades and organized in Black communities and Muslim communities because those two pieces, the social justice work, the struggle against oppression, and the kind of living up to our basic moral and spiritual commitments as human beings, for me, those travel, arm in arm. I do want to hear what Wissam has to say, but I mean, I also want to give the chair. Yeah.
All right. Plenty of more time, all right? We're just getting started. All right. He had 3 panels already, right? Where you react about this stuff. All right. So for me, one of the things that I keep reminding myself of in this moment, and to be honest, there's a lot of feelings of hopelessness. Like I feel like all of the things that we're doing are not enough. I feel in many ways, even in organizing spaces, sometimes comrades are leeches of energy and hope, if you know what I mean. Sometimes, you might be on the same team, but the qualities of care and community are missing. And I feel really often like malnourished politically and as a person. It's one thing to be organizing, but also to be in political systems that oppress you and marginalize you and disadvantage you. It's just like getting hit left and right. And one thing in my tradition that really keeps me going is there's a saying from the Prophet Muhammad peace be upon him, he says that, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. Even if you see the world is falling apart and you have a seed or a sapling in your hand, plant it. And so that is the spiritual and revolutionary like scripture that is grounding me. That no matter what I have, no matter what action, big or small, I'm just going to plant it, see what happens. I want to move into organizing Muslims and Arabs politically. Yeah, we'll laugh a lot today. So, I heard you said 53% of Muslims voted for you and Jill. A lot of Muslims came out to vote for you as governor. You had so much momentum in Michigan and in Dearborn. Where is that momentum now? And no, I'm asking a very out of curiosity a question. Where is that momentum now? And in terms of like candidates and voters, I'm wondering if you can offer any insights on why Muslims voted for you back in 2024 but have not joined the party. Why have Muslims voted for you in 2024 and never voted green again? Why is it that candidates, right? Like I was speaking to our brother right there, Andres from New Jersey. He's running for Congress. And his opponent is a Democrat who is a Muslim doctor, went and did humanitarian work in Gaza, but is running as a Democrat. So why do we have cases like this that we're seeing? Why are Muslims still organizing, voting, and standing as Democratic candidates?
No.
I don't dare now. To tell you the truth, I don't know. Osama Siblani, the publisher of the Arab American News, when he was interviewed on CNN in the first few months of genocide, she asked him, what would it take for your community to vote for Biden? He said, if he becomes better than Jesus and brings all these children back to life. And now I ask this same community, why are you voting for Biden again? And these children who have now multiplied by tens of folds, and they're still, as we speak, the genocide's still going, they haven't come back alive. So I don't understand, to tell you the truth, the moral structure of some people. You know, people are different. They think of things differently. Brother Abbas Alawi, who is a beloved brother of mine, he is a Democrat. He's running now for the Michigan State Senate on a Democratic ticket. He went to the convention and they wouldn't even let him in the convention. If you've seen the famous picture in New York Times or Washington Post, I think, he was sitting on the ground crying in front of the convention outside here in Chicago. And I told Brother Abbas, I told him, you know, you're making decisions thinking, you know, you're serving the community. You know, God bless you, whatever, you know, you're trying to do. But for me, I'm not going to forgive the Democratic Party for the humiliation that they humiliated us. You know, when they humiliated you on our behalf, humiliated us, just didn't even let you into the convention just because you had pro-Palestinian opinions. So I don't understand how does the community organize its morals. But I'll tell you something, that I have hope in our community. That community that voted, the 400 voted for the Green Party in 2020, over 22,000 voted in 2024, almost 23% of the community. Dr. Jill Stein, when she came in February of 2024, we had about 50 people attending. By November, there was no place, for her to sit, and there was lines of people just wanting to meet her. So the community changed. People knew what's going on. Brother Dr. Butch and Dr. Gilstein did a great job of reaching out to the community, not only the Muslim community in America, but worldwide. And their names are known, and that momentum will be built on.
So I'll start with a quote from Malcolm. Malcolm said to the Black community of the Democrats in 1964, he said, "You put them first and they put you last. And that makes you a chump. That makes you a political chump." And I think that there are still folks in the Muslim community that are getting chumped. Because not only were Palestinians slaughtered like animals, or with less mercy than you would slaughter animals, then Palestinians were so muzzled like animals, not even allowed to speak on their own behalf. What Malcolm said in that 1964 speech, The Ballad of the Bullet, addressing the Black community, is applicable to the Muslim community in this moment, which is, he said, we are a people that have not yet reached political maturity. We do not make decisions around what is in our best interest, and this takes me to my answer to the question. I do know the answer with some. And the reason is because there are well-paid and financed operatives whose job it is to herd Muslims back onto the Democrat plantation after what happened in 2024. I've seen this up close and personal when CAIR, Council on American Islamic Relations, LA chapter, endorsed Tom Steyer against me in the race. When Islamic organizations refuse to provide legal support when the Secretary of State is trying to sue to knock me off of the ballot. And this is what Malcolm referred to as the Black misleadership class in the 1960s. They're the group who are structurally and institutionally positioned to keep you on that plantation. And I think that it is a structural problem that we as Greens must address, which is that we have never been sufficiently armed for that block by block fist fight that has to happen after these electoral cycles, because you have to understand the Democrats know that they can never win another election if 53% of Muslims vote Green. So they are not taking that laying down. They are resourcing our opponents, and they are putting people on the payroll, and they are, developing perfect weapons like Zoran Mamdani, right? To sheepdog you right back into the arms of people who have slaughtered you for generations, Iraq, Afghanistan, Gaza, and who will continue to do so unless and until you make them pay for it electorally. So we as Greens need to be organizing for that very brutal, like bare knuckles fist fight on a community basis. And we have to understand that we do not have friends or allies in that. DSA ain't riding to the rescue to help out no Greens. DSA in California endorsed Tom Steyer against me, specifically told people, do not vote for Butch Ware. We had DSA's volunteers working on our campaign, heartbroken by this. So understand that we are up against well-financed institutional structures whose job it is to get Muslims to develop amnesia. But as for you, as for me, as for our sister Safia, there ain't nothing that they could ever do to get me to put on a team blue jersey. There's too much blood on it. And we can never, ever let them forget, and we must make them pay.
Can we save your question to the end? We'll have a Q&A section. All right. So just to continue that strain of conversation. So I hear you guys on like the macro level, but when we come down to the local level, we often find ourselves organizing with DSAs, with PSLs, with other organizations, right, that are third party. We might even find ourselves working with Democrats that are, in terms of identity and values, just in their campaign, aligned. So one thing that I've noticed that's a little difficult is when Greens employ rhetoric like what you just said, and I'm not saying that you're wrong, they become very hard and they become unwilling to build coalition on the local level, and that jeopardizes our ability to win because we don't have the numbers. And coalition becomes instrumental in moving anything forward. So I want you to respond to that. And if you could respond to this politics of fear that we find ourselves in, that is materially like there. Like it's not just in our heads, you know? Like they will beat us down. Like Muslims have organized within the Democratic Party for so long, right? They're implicated in so many ways within their professional, political, and personal relationships. I have here in Chicago, I was trying to scout people to be candidates. And a lot of Muslims here told me, like, I voted Green, but I will never run as a Green candidate because there's too much political, like, risk I would be taking. Like, they have their own nonprofits, they have their own businesses, and they are fearful that the Democratic stronghold, which is Chicago, is a Democratic machine, that they are fearful that there will be retaliation in other aspects of their lives. So can you speak to that as well? And just a third aspect, when it comes to a lot of Muslim civic organizations, I've been trying to organize many of them to start endorsing Green candidates. Well, the problem is we ain't got no Green candidates, but that's a separate issue. But because too many people are afraid to run. But the other issue is that they are concerned about winning. Because if they do not win, they cannot continue to build their own momentum as like civic organizations. So talk to that.
First, if you don't mind. So over the last, the figures are over the last 5 years, Greens have won 59% of the elections in which we've stood a candidate for office. That number is 78% in the state of California. We don't have a trouble winning when it is for offices that are mayoral, city council, and lower. We win those elections all the time. But when it comes to larger nationally visible elections, statewide elections, the fire hose of money that they turn on against us makes those, uphill fights. I'm gonna just tell a story about coalition to just gently push back on this, because I think that this is actually a critical thing that everybody in this room needs to understand. You can't be friends with people that don't want to be friends with you. I agree that we should be able to have coalitions that are working for our collective liberation. And there was a brilliant young lieutenant governor candidate in the state of California named Oliver Ma. Oliver came to me before the race and considered running Green and running on the same ticket, but decided, for the reasons that you suggest, it's just too much of an uphill fight, it's too hard, you're trying to win, to run as a Democrat. He came to me midway through the campaign and said, I'd like to do a mutual endorsement. I want to endorse you for governor. Will you endorse me for lieutenant governor? We recorded 6 hours of joint campaign videos together. When it got leaked that a DSA endorsed candidate that was running as a Democrat, Oliver Ma, was going to endorse a Green, DSA, which had never endorsed a statewide candidate in any race in California and had endorsed Oliver Ma, threatened to pull their endorsement of Oliver Ma if he endorsed me. You cannot have coalition with people that will do that. You can't. It doesn't work, right? And the thing is that I get that our numbers are not what we need them to be in order to win larger elections. But you know who hasn't been daunted by that? UK Greens. UK Greens, ran in a district, what's the name of it? Hannah Spencer, Gorton and Denton is the name of the district. a third Muslim population in that district. She wins what's the equivalent of a congressional special election. And within a week, the UK Green Party surpassed both Labour and Reform in national public opinion polls. I am not going out of my way to shake hands with people that will stab me in the back. I would rather beat them. Because the overwhelming despair that exists inside our political environment towards the two-party system actually should be telling us, no, Democrats are not our friends. Yes, individual Democrats sometimes are good people, and they're running for particular reasons. And yes, sometimes we can be in coalition with them, but there is no making friends with Team Blue genocide. And the thing is that the overall population is finished with these two parties. 50% of American voters identify themselves as independents now. Only 25% identify with as Democrats and 25% identify as Republicans. 63% of American voters say in a 2023 Gallup poll that those two parties do such a, quote, poor job that we need an independent third party. That so then why, like, say it with your chest. We are here. Right? Because we it's not, we know that it can work. Now we have structural difficulties that the UK, you can't spend $200 million the way that Tom Steyer did on the California gubernatorial election in a UK election, right? We have structural problems that are related to the relationship between American corporate capitalism and that monoparty that are going to require different kinds of strategizing. But the point is that we have to grow the party into the instrument that is needed to fight back in this moment, and the people want that. So that's my answer. My answer is I'm doubling down.
Just a small comment. I want to tell you a reflection from our community. Our community is very closely knit. They had very important positions they've succeeded in getting some community members into important positions like Rashida Tlaib and others. But they are, you have to understand that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party behind doors, they act like mafia. It's not clean politics. So there is threats, indirect threats. There's funding that's attached to so many aspects that gets cut off. We have Mayor Abdullah Hamoud as the mayor of Dearborn. When I first invited Dr. Jill Stein to Dearborn, I told him I want you to welcome her. He said, and he attended a meeting with her on Zoom and everything. But I said, I can't do this. He can't. It's not his choice. And there's a price that not only he will pay, the whole city will pay. And doesn't matter what the cost is. If the cost is the health of children or the jobless people or wherever it is, it doesn't matter. You have to understand these people, if they commit a genocide, that's easy for them to punish a community or punish a group of people. So I don't go hard on my community. But as an alternative, I want to grow the Green Party strong enough that it will attract them. Some people will come at this stage, like when Prophet Muhammad started his message. Some people came in the first 3 years. Some people came in later. Some people came in when he already won everything. So there's people that come at different stages. So we are at this stage, but it is our fight to make this stronger and bigger and prove ourselves. As a Muslim, the Muslim problem is not that they are hijacked by the Democratic, by the Democrats, and they previously were hijacked by the Republicans. The problem is that most of them don't vote. Because Islam is absolute in some of its values. And the Prophet, this saying is a very important saying for me. He says, إن الله لا ينتقم من الظالم ومن برى له قلما ومن علق له صوتا. God will take revenge of the oppressor, and this who sharpens his pencil, and this who hangs his whip. not only the oppressor, the person who hangs the whip on the wall, that is an enemy of God. So when you look at that, and then you look at 100 senators voting against ceasefire, including Bernie Sanders in the first vote in Congress, I wrote on Facebook at that time, we have 100 war criminals now in the Senate. And by definition, if we're not going to go into an argument about law, but if you, so this is the Muslim community that has these values, and then it's too disappointed to participate politically. I've been trying to convince my parents to vote for years, and every election it gets harder because there's more disappointed. How many times they're going to fix their house in Lebanon? That's now, it's totally wiped up. They've never lived in it because of corruption and a government, the result of colonialism, etc. And they keep fixing it. Now they gave up on fixing it. Well, it's wiped up anyway.
I am always, and I just want to add like a 30-second addendum, because the rhetorical nature of the Quran is it balances glad tidings and warnings so that you never get into despair, but you also never kind of succumb to false hope. So I know I was hitting you with lots of warnings. I want to just come back with glad tidings with one piece. The overwhelming response from the Muslim community with our face-to-face organizing in the California gubernatorial campaign was automatic. Despite the efforts of the Muslim misleadership class and the institutional levers that they control and all the resources, we had overwhelming support everywhere we had access. What we didn't have was media mechanisms that were broadcasting that access so that Muslims were getting the message without us having to go and, like do the groundwork. But just to be clear, the response was always overwhelming, that Muslims are ready. Like, Muslims do not want to vote for Democrats anymore. Right? And they do it when, there might be a Muslim candidate or a candidate that's, appealing in other ways as well, like a Zoran Mamdani. But the point is that Muslims ain't forgot. Muslims have not forgotten. There's a concerted effort to try to get Muslims back into the Democrat fold. But if we actually go out and do the work, this is the community that is most ready to defect because they already did it. Like, do y'all understand what it means to have a significant ethnic or religious demographic, not just change parties, right? The way that Black folks did when we stopped being Lincoln Republicans and became, FDR Democrats. But to leave the duopoly entirely, do you understand what a systematic, what a system threat that actually is? So we have to absolutely be doing the work of cultivating that refusal, that rejection of the genocidal duopoly and converting it into green political power. And that's just going to require work. Like, that requires doing the work on the ground, but the people are ready for it.
Let's talk about doing that work. All right. So my last question to you, and then we will open it up to all of you, is twofold. What are the challenges you're experiencing within the Green Party? And how are we building forward? Mr. Chair, Mr. President, as some might call you. But people would point to your two recent campaigns as like the most successful campaigns we've seen among Greens in a long time. So given that weight on your shoulders, I would like to know, one, what are the challenges you're experiencing and how are you building forward? And if I may say something as the little guy on the panel, literally 5'2". So being the chair of a local subchapter, when I ran, right, I had the intention, if I'm gonna run as a Green, First of all, they're definitely not organized because I haven't seen them anywhere on the ground, right? I was attending every single, like every day. I was at some kind of organizing thing during the first year of the genocide. And I had never seen a green. They were there. I don't know where they were at. And for me, I was like, okay, this is a red flag. I am not going to get co-opted into a non-functional organization. My very first meeting as a Green was my election. I found out that if I got my friends to register as Greens and then come to the meeting and vote, that's what I did. I more than doubled their membership in like two days. Went to Instagram, me and my homie, she was vice chair, I was chair. We're like, we're gonna take this over. And then when I got elected, I thought, okay, this is the beginning. What I didn't realize was how little support there is. Yeah. There was no support from the national party. The state party was disorganized. There was so much ancient beef that it had fossilized and it was hitting me on the back of the head. I'm new here, brother. I ain't done nothing. But somehow I was already on the enemy's side, okay? When I first joined, like the day of my election, there was a brother in the party who just drove his bike to me to give me handwritten letters about how there's a network of conspiracy within the local party and these are like democratic plants. And I was like so scared. What am I getting into? And so like I already have all this paranoia from being in the student encampments. And now I have my brother, when I got elected, I was like, they knocked in what was a brother that got shot in Chicago, shot radical, you know what I'm talking about? Come on, quiz. Fred Hampton. Now we have a problem. What? I got Butch Ware and Wissam in my head right now. You know what I mean? Okay, Fred Hampton, right? I was like, I have like in the back of my mind all of this radical literature and history, and I'm like, they coming for me. You know what I mean? That they might not be, right? But it was that psyche that I was in and the lack of support. It really just like I burnt out so fast. Right? And I'll give you icing on the cake. When I was reelected, right? My opponent, who wanted to be chair for a really long time, nobody voted for her except for me, because she's a nice person. And then I got really disheartened, to be honest, right? And I was like, I forget about local politics. I'm just gonna focus on this A&M. Right? I need to meet Greens from outside of Illinois and Chicago to give me hope, please. This is why this panel is happening. This is my own personal, like, give me hope, brothers. But the crazy thing is, like, even though I made that very clear, right? And then my membership, like, whatever, expired for a little bit, and they were like, this is our chance. And they're like, you're out, she's in. And I'm like, okay. And the crazy thing is that happened when I was being doxxed for Palestinian organizing and I was fired from my job, right? And I was like, wow, these Greens really suck. Like, damn, there's heartless, non-caring people, right? I'm just sick. Can you hear that? I'm sick and tired of these hoes. Oh, I'm sorry. But like, you know what I mean? Like what I really need to see, 10 toes down on green values, right? 10 toes down, 10 fingers, everything, my organs, whatever, right? I'm in it, right? But what I'm seeing a discrepancy in is the organization and in green character, in green community, in green care. I'm not seeing that. And that is like tearing me apart and that is burning me out. Please give me hope.
So there's so much to say, and we don't have enough time. So I'll try to be concise. The first thing that I'll say is it was actually my beautiful wife, Clementina Aragon, who also like supported everything that we've done on both the 24 and 26 campaigns. including chasing around a now 6 foot, 190 pound, 16-year-old autistic black boy around the house. That's not her child, and she still manages to keep up with them when I have to, get on a 4 a.m. flight. It was her that told me what Greens are there. They're just not wearing their green shirts. Right. So this actually became something that we messaged on throughout our entire campaign in California, because we knew that all of the people that we were interacting with that were leading green chapters and that were they were involved in all kinds of mutual aid, organized. They were at the leadership in pro-Palestinian stuff. But unlike PSL, they weren't turning every single protest into a photo op for their party. Right? They weren't showing up as Greens. And I think that one of the things that we've just encouraged people to do is to actually show up as Greens. Like I already said it, but like say it with your chest, let your freak flag fly. Like, if your values are driving your mutual aid, and this is another thing that we did in the campaign, mutual aid plus direct action plus electoral power, that's what we have to have in order to build a movement. So we have to be showing up in those other spaces and presenting as just an electoral political tool inside a broader movement work. And if we show up as Greens in that way, then people are going to have more, confidence. But as you've already pointed out, ain't everybody about that life. There are some people that prefer internecine turf wars inside their chapters, their state chapters, their local chapters. They prefer Byzantine, rules and regulations and conventions in order to try to maintain control, rather than to actually welcome in and accommodate the massive demographic shift that has already taken place inside the party since 24, when people understood that the Green Party was the only viable electoral avenue for the pro-Palestine movement. And that meant that a lot of Black and brown and Latino and Muslim folks were going to be coming in. And have we done the job of accommodating those folks, or have we driven them crazy? Right? Rachel Broughton in Minnesota is actually a perfect example of somebody who went out of her way to make sure that a Muslim caucus, a Muslim American caucus, was founded inside that Minnesota chapter, right? Going out of her way as, if I can, the most dynamic 4'6" lesbian atheist that you'll ever encounter, right? Okay. I thought you used to call yourself an atheist at one meeting. Okay. Okay. But the point is that Rachel went out of her way to make space for the creation of that Muslim caucus, and it has invigorated what's taken place inside the Minnesota. Right. So this is both, and I said I would try to be brief, and I'm doing a bad job of that, but I want to just close this with both the glad tidings and the warnings. First, the warnings. You never end with the bad news. Always end with the good news. When I addressed the Green Party National Steering Committee, Craig will remember this, others will remember this, after the 2024 presidential election cycle, I said that this is a party that has been happy to be on the field, but we need to be playing to win the game. This is a party that is dominated by aging white environmentalists, and this needs to become a Black and brown and Arab and Latino party if it's going to have any future whatsoever. This is a party that has been weird about taking fundraising seriously, but you are never going to beat these people without resources, so you better get serious about fundraising. And the stock, and this is a crucial part of what the Muslim community can contribute to this, because I saw this happen in real time. When I joined the Stein campaign, it became the Stein Ware campaign, that the campaign had raised about $1 million in the previous 10 months before I joined the campaign. And just to be clear, Kamala Harris raised 1.5 billion, right? There is no amount of candidate quality that can make up a 1,500 to 1 spending gap. Do you see the nature of the problem? So it was literally my first time running for office. I joined on August 13th of 2024. But because of 2 decades of fundraising experience in the Muslim community, we raised $3.5 million in the 10 weeks that I was on the campaign. And so this is also one of the great opportunities, because the Muslim community knows how to raise funds. And I've gone and given those talks and said, listen, we've built these big, beautiful mosques, these suburban palaces, and they kill us with impunity. Will we ever organize to defend ourselves politically? Right? So all of this is just to say that there is a massive amount of work to do in detoxing the party, in helping the party grow to political maturity. This is the only viable option for an independent third party, and it's nowhere near ready. We have to be clear about that. And so it's going to require a massive amount of work, focused work. And this is the last thing that I'll say, is that's why I ran in California. Because when I looked at what we didn't have, despite all of the energy and momentum and the will and people wanting that alternative, we as Greens, and my mentor and teacher, Annie Young, the first ever elected Green Party official, who served from 1989 to 2018 as a Green in the state of Minnesota. She's my godmother. She was my best friend's mom. She was my political mentor and teacher. Like, she taught me these values from youth, and she was an organizer at the grassroots level. That's how she did things. But we as a party have not done that. We have not been building the political infrastructure inside community that is necessary for these larger electoral lifts. So I'm looking at Elsa, one of our campaign volunteers. I'm looking at Juliana, who basically resuscitated the Fresno chapter of the Greens, and all of these folks up and down the state of California who, because we had a live, active campaign, were doing the work of building the political infrastructure. And we need that political infrastructure built in every single state, in every single community, or we will squander a political moment where there is broad and massive disaffection across ideological divides, across identity divides, across ethnic divides, with the corporate genocidal Zionist duopoly. So I began by quoting Malcolm, saying that we are a people that hasn't yet reached political maturity. And I'll close by saying that we are a party that has not yet reached political maturity. And that if humanity is to be brought back from the brink of extinction, I'm looking at Craig rocking the People Planet Peace shirt, right? Yeah, come on, let that freak flag fly, stand up, show, because that's what it's about. Because these genocidal demons will destroy the people, they will destroy the planet, they will destroy the peace, whether by environmental holocaust or nuclear holocaust, or probably both. So we have to understand that, like, we are literally the very thin green line between humanity and extinction, and we need to act like it. So that's all I'll say.
We would love to end with this beautiful note, Brother Butch, but Greens, I just want to tell you, like, a larger also like perception and perspective. I share the struggle, and you know, we all have these feelings. I want to also come from a different perspective a little bit. That first of all, it is such a great hope and inspiration, just the existence of the Green Party in the United States. When I tell our community, because many have not heard of the Green Party before, and I still remember this old lady catching me at the time of elections, telling me, "Just remind me again, what's her name that you want us to vote for? You know, the good one." You know, so they're learning this new, and when they know that there is a party that is fighting for free education, for free healthcare, for peace, for de-establishing the military bases around it, they just are shocked that there is an American agenda such as that in the United States. So, and those people who have kept it against the current, and who have fought and went uphill this battle over these years to keep the party alive, thank you very much. And what you're talking about, when I got into the Green Party, and I'm new in the Green Party, a lot of people called me from the Green Party, warning me, please don't leave. You're gonna go through, you're gonna go through stuff, you're gonna see stuff. But the amount of people who have gotten out of their way to call me and encourage me, and when we were trying to start the caucus, encouraged us, and they worked so hard on recruiting people for us and supporting us. The amount of support and the good heart of the Green people is just amazing and inspiring. But I want us, and I've mentioned this in the workshops about values, the universal values, is that two things is very important. First is we have to know that we will have differences, but we have uniting values, and that's the most important thing. We will not unite in everything. Only totalitarians unite on every concept. We have to encourage diversity by not making it a basis of animosity. So but we have our central values, and then we can be on spectrums. You know, I like to call myself a social capitalist, just to expand the spectrum of the Green Party economic vision. Those who belong to the Green Party. Another thing is that and like Dr. Butch said, the value of the moment, the importance and the urgency of the moment. The Green Party is kind of the only entity that has the ability to hold this lion that's creating havoc in the world. It's the only one that has that ability to hold that lion down, to calm this lion down, that's creating this havoc in the world. We're the only ones inside the United States that we can change the direction of this government that is taking the world into a catastrophe, either environmentally, and I just came from Detroit, where it had, and Chicago is the same thing, the worst pollution in the world. Staying outside was equivalent to smoking a pack of cigarettes, and because of the smokes in Canada, and when the American government told them you have to get hold of your fires, they told the American government you have to get hold of your global warming, because and also on the brink of a nuclear war, and on the brink of naturalizing and normalizing genocide forever, where it's becoming normal. It's becoming talking points to say that we're gonna destroy bridges and hospitals and schools and water salination. So it is a very urgent moment, and when we know the urgency of the moment, the small things, we should put them aside. You know, it's like arguing while the house is burning and our children are inside the house. So this is the perspective that we should have within the Green Party. And the final thing is that, and I always say it for hope, like Dr. Bush said, like finish with. Uh, so on a positive, on this positive, inspiring note, we have a wave that is 100% going in our direction, which is the wave of Gen Z. 75 million of them today in the United States. They will be the majority of voters in 2030. Like Dr. Butch said, 63% are totally engaged with the two parties. Well, it is a higher percentage among Gen Z, 67%. They're pro-Palestine. Majority are pro-free education, pro-universal healthcare, pro-diversity, against unipolarity of the world. So they have all the thoughts and values of the Green Party. They just don't know it. Our job is to prepare our party for them to know that this is their party. We have to think of us as not the Green Party. We are the establishing committee of the future Green Party. So we shouldn't be the same. We are only establishing this for others to take over. Next year, the committee should be totally new people, and we're just mentoring and helping and trying to support. And that gives us more responsibility and make us grow over the smaller things. Thank you.
So I hear that you guys want to end on a nice note. I like to end on actions. So if I may pose 2 action items to both of you. One, you, Mr. Butch Ware, or should I say professor, you do all these webinars, you're teaching the people. Could you, now that you have 2 major elections under your belt, teach us some kind of boot camp online, how to run a campaign, 101?
Yes, and oh, listen, we're way ahead of you. One of our campaign volunteers has already set up a campaign like training session for, I believe, the 30th of July. So I'm zooming in, to teach that. So yeah, that's say less. No, it's a whole weekend thing, but yeah. You need a curriculum? All right, we can work on it. Yeah, we can work on it. Yeah, we can work on it. Yeah.
This is what you call organizing. Brother Wissam, I know you're kind of towards the end of your chairmanship, but to your point about not fighting among ourselves while the house is burning, can we do something about the folks that are so blinded by their internal rage that they cannot see the fire? Can we have some kind of internal mechanism of accountability and allowing space for Greens who want to do the good work without other Greens stepping on their toes? Can you be the fun?
I think when يعني a verse comes to my mind, ادفع بالتي هي أحسن. If you return the attitude that is you consider it to be toxic or toxifying the environment, if you return that with a positive and a more appropriate and a more loving, exactly, that's the verse I was referring to. So it will balance. It just needs patience, and I think when more of us are doing that, then the people go through things, like we have to also take that into consideration, especially as we accept more Gen Z into our party, is that one of the most important things for Gen Z, for example, is mental health. So the party should also be a space for them to actually feel a relief and a safe space and feel loved and respected and heard and not judged. So we need to do more of that until that takes over. That becomes the environment and the norm. But I think fighting fire with fire just doesn't work. And I know sometimes we lose some battles, but I feel that the general trend of the party that believes in nonviolent communication, we just need to remind more and put mechanisms to remind ourselves of that.
I'm a little unsatisfied with that, but we'll talk more. But I did want to give you both a present. So, oh, what? Is it really for me?
Yes.
Okay.
You go first. You go first.
Okay. So, to keep my sanity, I am also an artist, and so I painted this during the genocide. All right, cool. Yes, yes, it is. No, it's art. You can interpret it.
I'm not traveling by plane.
And you guys are both nerds, so I also have bookmarks here. Yeah. It says, "In the name of God, the most merciful, the most compassionate," in Arabic. All right, what do I get? That means you have to run again.
This is a souvenir from the last one.
All right. All right, now we can do audience questions. It's a
Beware the governor's shirt. Turn it around.
all right. Questions?
Safia, before you start, you want to do one from the audience, one from online?
Sure, that makes sense to me. Since I saw you first, sir.
Thank you, everyone. So I would love to see the caucus get formally accredited this year. It's been a project that we've supported in New Jersey, and again, every federated state party can adjust your bylaws and allow for a caucus. If you need it, ask for Jersey's bylaws. We'll send them to you so you can vote and allow that to happen. So please, I'd love to see that as one goal, and just keep the organizing going forward. Gen Z is important. We also need our boomers to still stay involved with the party. And obviously, we have to find a cohesive way to work together because we're only stronger together. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I recruit my aunts, my any gathering, because I feel the Green Party also has a great environment for elders, for boomers, for I love for them to get involved. And now they have a game in the family. They bet each other how long will it take me before I recruit someone to the Green Party when I first meet them. So. But as far as the caucus, we've the application is complete. There were little discrepancies. We have the diversity committee helping us finish that. We're over 100 members. We're just trying to fix all the registrations, the addresses. And I just had a conversation with Mark Alborno yesterday. And now that he is no longer the treasurer, he said he's going to focus on the caucus too. So we're going to have good news for you soon.
All right. First question from the audience is there a class action lawsuit coming up over Janet Yellen's unauthorized refusal to provide funding during the primary? If and then she provides a link to the actual lawsuit.
I don't know. It's a great question for Jill. Yeah.
Jim exited in 1972, so but anyway, we don't, you know, you catch me later on why, but my point is that it's not just the Muslim community. It's been the disappointing Democrats is what I call them. And they have co-opted women and unions and environmentalists, people of color. Pardon me? Oh yeah, like I said, yeah, and I mean, the point is they've been doing this because they were like the lesser evil, and even though they were evil, very evil, like a fox, and my apologies to foxes, but like animals. But the point is that that has been going on for a long time, and it's starting to, like, the dam is starting to break, and so I can see that happening. And what I think is an important thing that's been holding the screens back is when the COVID hit, it started, we were in Zoom and we were distanced from each other and we did not have these annual meetings. And I applaud everybody that made the time, did the effort to come, because getting together with people and meeting them eye to eye and talking to them and understanding them, that is how you build a party. You don't build it by being remote, being distant. So that's all I got to say about that. But I will say, when I do go to Muslim fundraisers, like I've been to Arab fundraisers in Tampa, and I'll tell you what, they start out at like, okay, who's going to do well, I was going to say, who's got 100? They keep going down. And I mean, like, they end at like 10. But then there's the scrabblers that, okay, whatever else, but okay.
I'll underline. Is this working? Okay, still no. Microphone check. Okay, so I literally have to like be eating the microphone. Is the cord? Is that, that's better? Okay. Whew. My colleague at UC Riverside, Dylan Rodriguez, who is an anarchist, but did agree to vote for me, which was a big, win on my part. He has consistently said that the Democrats are the most effective counterinsurgency organization ever to exist in human history. And the addendum that I usually add to that is they are where revolutionary change goes to die, right? So you have to understand that their job is to make sure that all of that disaffection, resentment, the negative energies, and all of that positive, aspirational, hope that so many in those, especially the younger generation, but also some of us older folks as well, it is their job to make sure that that is channeled into non-threatening political, ineffective political maneuvers. So we have to just embrace that we are not, like, if people are at war with you and you're not at war with them, you're putting yourself in grievous risk. You have to understand that people talk about infiltrators and other such things. We have them. Some are probably here, right? C'est bien possible. C'est bien possible. Je le doute pas. Pas du tout. I don't doubt it at all. So all that's just to say is that, like, we really do need to understand that we are up against, like an existential threat that never wants to see the Green Party become what we all know that it needs to be. Yeah.
Yeah, Kurt Bolton, Wisconsin Green Party co-chair. Obviously, I'm not Muslim, and I'm not of the same color you are. So how do I approach the Muslim community? Because I'm with the Milwaukee Greens, and there's a Muslim community there. How do I approach them? Good. No.
Good.
Well, you don't do that shit. I would say one of the things that has been the most repulsive about Greens in general when organizing with Muslims in Chicago is that there is a level of political entitlement and arrogance. As if witnessing genocide is equivalent to voting Green. And that is not true. That is something that needs to be earned. We are not entitled to it. And when Greens forget that, they start taking the Muslim vote for granted. You're not going to be given that on a silver platter. Muslim communities in general, they have every right to vote however they want, regardless of all of the analysis that we brought here today. Everyone has their own political autonomy. And so when we approach people who are potential voters with a level of arrogance and entitlement and not with humility, that's when we scare people away and we leave a bad taste in their mouth that this is what a Green is, arrogant.
Yeah, did you want to answer?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think you don't have to overthink it. Muslim is unanimous with people. They're very diverse. So you don't have to overthink it. They have the same concerns as any average American household. I would say actually try not to prejudge it. That would be the best approach. Just approach them as a fellow citizen, and because you can never tell. Being a Muslim cannot be a precursor for any. They're so diverse that you cannot really have any. There's some facts. Okay, the majority of Arabs in the United States are Christians. Okay, another fact: the percentage of Muslims who are Arabs are less than 11%. Fact: there are more Muslims in Indonesia than in the whole Asian Arab world, almost the Middle East minus Egypt. There are more Muslim African countries than there are Muslim Arab countries in the Asian part of the Arab world. So there are a lot of facts. People, make assumptions. You know that the opinion of Muslim Americans regarding LGBTQ is more liberal than the average American, more tolerant. So do you know that there are 3 mosques that are LGBTQ mosques in the United States? So there are a lot of facts that can shock some people. But the point is, you can. It's better to walk in without any pre-assumptions.
I'll add a very small piece to that because I was thinking of some figures as well. You may not be aware that the largest ethnic contingency inside the American Muslim community are African American Muslims. Yeah, African American Muslims make up 25% of the Muslim community. That's larger than any other ethnic contingency. And y'all don't think of Black folks when you think of Muslims. So getting rid of a lot of people's preconceptions about what Muslims are and aren't is sort of the beginning of it. And, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but let's be real about this. There's still a lot of work to do in getting Islamophobia out of leftist spaces. Like Wissam pointed to this question, the polling on this has been unambiguous for 30 years. Out of every single religious community, Muslims have polled with more tolerant views towards LGBTQ plus rights than every other practicing religious community for 30 years. It's not new, but there's always this assumption of that Muslims are X, or Muslims are Y. So yeah, treating a lot of the kind of preconceived notions, like doing the work of like pulling out the Islamophobia that is baked into Western imperialism as a political and ideological project, that's something that's morally incumbent upon us as Greens. It's not just politically valuable, it's morally incumbent.
We have time.
All right, this is the last one from the online. Helen Ryan Sykes of the Green Party of Aotearoa, New Zealand. Would it be worth having I think I know the answer to this, but would it be worth having a constitution in place for each state Green parties that requires a minimum number of local chapter representatives that informs decision making, and those state parties all have a vote at a national Green Party level? And to add to that just a little bit, and would it be worth creating a Greens Muslim working group that informs each other local chapter in its decision making?
I'll let maybe Wissam weigh in on the second half of the question, and I am not going to dare touch the first half of the question, except to say, and that this is something that we need to like reflect on and take action on. I actually think that one of the greatest strengths and structural weaknesses of the American Green specifically is that decentralized ethic. And I think that having a kind of thoroughgoing, practical conversation about how we scale up and how certain conventions that are rooted in that ethic and that value, but that are not in and of themselves anything other than conventions, may be inhibiting our capacity to scale. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, brother. I think as far as the second question, yes, that's what's being formed right now is a caucus. The name has not been finalized, but it's a caucus basically that represents this community, and it's been active, not yet accredited, but it has been active and engaged for a while now. I think since February of 2024.
Hello, my name is Andres Ginette. I'm congressional candidate NJ12. We got Trenton, Princeton. Happy to be here, everybody. And it's great to meet you, Safia. It's wonderful to have you here with us, and thank you so much for fighting for your party. And I share, and many of the young people share all of the sentiments that you have expressed today. And something that I wanted to touch on, Wissam, is that we had a little thing going on called the Solidarity Network. If you remember that we put together Latinx Caucus, Black Caucus, Arab and Muslim American Caucus, and we had talked about maybe selecting, we ended up being 6, then 9. I think it should really be 3, very focused, candidates that we help out, that we focus on together to fundraise. As Butch has mentioned, this is a little muscle we gotta exercise. I would love to revisit that, and we can be in conversation a little later. That's something that we need to do. Last night I was talking to some of the younger candidates. We have Ngone in Minnesota, and I'm sure you've talked a little to her with her a little bit. She gives me good vibes. She recognized the whistle. That's a good sign. And we have Brett in Minnesota. He connects. I thought he was a security guard. I thought he was a cop or something. But he's somebody that is humble, gives me good vibes, and he has a potential to connect with that wide working class base up in Oregon, right? And I think it's important to help us fundraise these young candidates, as we're talking about how we need to support young people, right? That are putting this together. My campaign, personally, we have folks that are helping from my marketing directors from California. I got people helping me from Florida. My campaign manager is from the Black Caucus. We need to help and support our young candidates. I'm running a race that's not easy. I have, as Safia said, I have a doctor that was in Gaza, good humanitarian work, but as reformist, that changed before the first forum. Wissam, you remember that it was a battle to get us into the Greater Princeton Mosque where we had the first forum. We had to make out a statement. People were calling from all different states to get us into the first forum. Because of what we said, because the way we were connecting, even though the guy had, his resume and everything, we were pro-Palestinian liberation when some folks were just anti-genocide. We were pushing working class issues where folks don't even have housing policy. They don't have nutritional policy. And that cost us our second forum participation. So we just need, as young people that are doing this type of work, We heard some of the testimony that, I almost got harmed by ICE last week. I'm glad I'm here and I'm not in the hospital. But we really need to support our people, our young people that are putting the party on their back. And I hope we can have some conversations about this. So thank you so much for being here.
We're going way over. I can be very brief. Yeah. Okay. Hi, I'm Chuck Fall. I'm from Portland, Oregon. I'm an advocate for a Green Liberty Caucus, so I wish you well in getting a Muslim caucus established. I know there's an ideological issue that's out there that has to be overcome. I'm also an advocate for a proposal that delegates get to vote on for a transparency and accountability committee. And I'm also a truth advocate, political truth advocate, and Muslim Arabs were patsied with the September 11th attack in 2001. And I think people say that a committee on accountability and transparency would be redundant, and there's no value for it in the party. I would argue that a committee would provide a forum to call out the big lies that the genocidal elite that has been mentioned, I call them plutocracy, need to be called out. And there needs to be a bearing witness to the lies and a fighting back. And so a transparency committee could advance to clear the name of the Muslim who the official narrative says did the deed, but we know that that's a big lie. So I think the Green Party should be very vigilant and active about fighting back against the lies. So that's what I wanted to share and invite the delegates to vote for the committee.
So a very practical question from someone running as a white environmentalist. And I'm proud of that because that was kind of revolutionary in the 70s and 80s. And we've held the line. We have our quarter century anniversary now in Maryland for the party. But clearly to me, clearly to me, though, the appeal is to people who aren't benefiting. So it is the black and brown part of my constituency that's going to listen and that I go out to, and that's where I need to do my work. But when I've gone out, I saw this fantastic pamphlet about Islam and pollinators. So I was wondering if you could give the grounding of that in terms of the Quran.
No. And the question, has me a little like breathless and flat-footed at the same time. Because my political hero and mentor in many ways, Annie Young, was an indigenous woman who I think the reason why she made her Dem exit in part because of the corruption and because she wanted like policies that actually serve the neighborhood, that we grew up in, but also because she talked a lot about how indigenous conceptions of land stewardship resonated more deeply with green policies and principles than anything in the political arena. And when I was asked to run as the Green vice presidential candidate in 24 and I accepted the nomination, I spoke about the Islamic ontological and cosmological value of what it means to be stewards of the earth. When I converted at age 15, one of the things that struck me in contradistinction to the Christian tradition that I had been raised in, where man was given dominion over the earth, in the Islamic conception, humanity was given stewardship over the earth. Right? That dominion implies that you own it and you can do whatever you want with it. But stewardship means you're going to be questioned as to how you cared for the bees, how you cared for the ants, that you kept justice and balance, not taking rights away from other created beings in order to expropriate them to humans. And I opened that address because I understand that not everybody is a person of faith, but everyone has a sense of transcendence. With the story that my wife and I listened to on some cross-country drive, where they mentioned that the water that is in the Earth's oceans, and therefore the water that is in our bodies, is older than the sun. The water in the Earth's oceans was in the cloud of gas that collapsed together to form the sun. Billions of years old, which means that the water that flows through our body is timeless. The water that flows in our oceans is timeless, that the people and the planet and the peace are all sacred and all timeless and all one.
Last announcement, if you like this panel, I am moderating another one on Sunday, which I expect both of you to be there for, inshallah. So it's about how other supremacist political organizations are using the AIPAC model to buy US elections. It's going to be mainly from the South Asian community, and Kshama Savant is going to be joining us. So if you want lunch, if you want, no, it's going to be, oh, she's on Zoom, yeah. But we're going to be in person. It is at the National Public Housing Museum, which is a short walk from here. So I hope that we'll have lunch and a great discussion together. Please RSVP because we need a head count for food. Thank you. You can get a flyer here on this table as you walk out.
Can we thank our chair?
And our panelists. Go with peace, my friends.